Yes, so.
Your board is still not in place?
Yes.
Then propose me to chair the board. I will.
In fact, I want us to have a board meeting in the studios of Radio Group.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
So Nancy will be the board secretary.
Okay.
You will be the chair.
Oh.
And I'll be a member. So we can form a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, and I hope you're well.
By God's grace. Good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers online.
It's nice to have you on the line. There are a few things that have been reported about your work at the MP. I think I'll raise those issues before we end. But first, let me start with this matter of the SkyTree. 2 people have been charged. And the 2 people are not the people we expected were going to be the subject of the investigation, because it all came from Jogate all through to John Peter Mewu. But we are now seeing that the people who are being charged are at GIF. Can you offer any explanations as to why this is the case?
Oh, I think the issue of crime is that there's nothing like vicarious liability. Vicarious in the sense that somebody does it and another person is held responsible, maybe because the person controls the other person or something. In this specific case, I'm sure the investigators and prosecutors are looking at possibly the people who authorize the payment. So maybe that is it. If you recall, I was involved in the NCA criminal trial. You remember?
Yes, I do, vividly.
And one of the accusations against my clients, which got them to go to prison, was the fact that they had purchased some cyber equipment without the approval of the board. You understand?
Yeah.
And that the payments were made without the board's approval, among others. That was the basis on which they had to go to Nshawan prison. The accusation, I understand from the brief fact, is that all these things were done without the approval of the board. However, in the statement the accused person gave to the police, they said they had the approval of the board to make the $2 million transfer. You understand?
So your understanding is that they actually deny this claim of not being authorized?
So the accused persons, from the brief fact, said they did it with the approval of the board. So the investigators now kind of invited the other board members and said, this $2 million that was paid, you were in the at the meeting where this was approved. Then the board members said, no, we don't know anything about it. It's board chair and CEO.
I see.
Yes.
So their claim was
the statements of those individuals are also on record.
Oh.
The investigators also then record all the board minutes. And in the board minutes, you don't find any such approval.
Oh. That's quite an interesting case.
Yes.
I see. So the other board members say, we didn't approve anything like that.
The investigators actually went for the other board members. And in their statements to the police, they denied that the board ever approved such a thing. But the investigator didn't leave it there. They went further for copies of the board minutes. And there are no confirmation in the board minutes of such approval. So that's the accusation from the prosecution.
Oh, and that alone for you forms the basis for these charges being preferred against them, the non-authorization of the payments.
And so now you have to, but that's what happened in the NCA matter.
Okay.
Because you see, in the NCA matter, I was counsel for the chief executive officer, the executive director. So the prosecution witness they brought against my CEO, my client, was the director of finance and admin.
Okay.
So when he came, hello.
We didn't hear that, so continue.
Yes. So under cross-examination, I remember I started with the director of finance. So under cross-examination, I asked him, what are the mandates on the account of NCA? You know mandate.
Please explain.
Authorization. Every account has a mandate.
Okay.
Who and who can authorize before transfer can be effected? That's the mandate.
Yeah, okay.
And the instructions. So I then asked, now you notice that you, the prosecution witness, you are one of the authorizing signatories on the account. Is that correct? He said that is correct. I then asked him, is it possible that without your signature, such an amount of money can be paid from the account? He said, no. My signature, together with that of the Director General, is enough for transfer to be effected. So then I asked him, to the extent that without your signature, payment cannot be made, why are you here testifying against the person? So I showed him the payment voucher, which authorized the payment, to identify his signature, and he did. So I said, so it is you and so and so signed before payment. But today you are here as a prosecution witness. Do you get it? The judge said there was a need for the approval of the board of the contract first.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And since the contract itself was not approved by the board, all payments made under it completely, So on the charge of causing financial loss, he found my client guilty and sentenced him to 4 years in prison.
Oh, so there's adequate precedent to go to.
Yeah, but as yourself, the base on which Victor Solomon went to prison, Mr. Daniel Abodakbi, go and find out. Yeah.
But in this case, the contracts, I'm not sure there was going to be any contracting that will be done at the level of GIF. Or was it not being handled by the Railways Ministry?
No, it's a gift project also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, GIF was also involved in the project.
Yes. In fact, the funds were coming from GIF. That's the sponsoring ministry. You see, the whole idea is Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. So the original plan is that 2.5% of your VAT will go into a dedicated fund for the construction of big-ticket infrastructure projects.
Okay. Like for example, yesterday, one of the things we were talking about was the second gas processing plant. So something like that would have been catered for by GIF if they had the capacity now.
So what GIF will do is that if they have the money, they will sponsor it. And then when the project is complete, the project will repay. So it is like they will unlend the money for the project. And so the project itself will have the capacity to pay for itself.
Oh, I see. So in this case, simply put, you did not have the authorization to make those payments. You did, so you are answering for these charges.
So you have to come and show where you got the authorization from. You remember Atoforsin's matter?
Yes.
Yes. So they say without due care and authorization, you cause letters of credit to be established. That was the basis on which Atoforsin was charged. What saved Atoforsin in this case was that Setekwe came and testified that he did the authority.
Well, we'll see how that goes because this is early days here. Those charges have been preferred.
Exactly.
Yes. On that, and then there's another matter, very interesting matter. KWABENA Edudzi matter. Because it looks like the lawyer for KWABENA Edudzi says that the documents that were put out publicly, even though they claim they did not leak it, that we are now all reading, that it was sent to the National Security Coordinator. They don't know how it came into the public domain, among others. He says it was notice being served to Yoko and the Attorney General to stop, else we have more state secrets that will spill. Have you heard that? And how does that sound to you?
Every lawyer and his strategy in handling cases, I'm sure that's the strategy lawyer Thatcher has adopted for his clients. But you see, as lawyers, we have ethical responsibility to give the best of advice to our clients. What's exactly the case of the prosecution? The prosecution is saying that you say, Senna, you are the managing director of Radio Gold, right? Then you entered into a contract with a company owned by Eric Boachi for $7 million. Now, when it is time for you to pay the money for the contract, you effectively paid only $1.5 million to the company owned by Eric. The rest of the money, you diverted it into a company. That company is named BNC Communication. I think it's important I explain this properly. So the National Signal Bureau was originally called Bureau of National Communication. So national security has three wings.
Okay.
BNI, which is now called NIB. So they do the hardcore investigation and intelligence work.
Okay.
Then you have the Signal Bureau, the soft side of national security. They monitor communications. Are you plotting something through phone and all of those things, right? So it is Bureau of National Communication. The abbreviation is BNC, right?
Okay.
Good. Then you, Senna, as the managing director of this BNC, now called Bureau of National Signal Bureau, you quickly went and set up a company, according to the prosecution, and cleverly called it BNC Communication Limited. Do you get it? So if you are not properly initiated, when you see it, you would think it's the national company. Do you get it?
Yes.
So when you entered into this contract, 5 million of that, you transferred it directly into this BNC Communication Limited, the private company. Now, this BNC Communication Limited is owned by another company. The company is called Advantage Solutions. This Advantage Solution is owned by your wife, a company she opened in 2008. So the case of the prosecution is that to the extent that you move public funds directly into the account of a private company, so you, as Radio Gold, you move Radio Gold money directly into your private accounts. You understand? Now they've charged you for stealing Radio Gold fund because you have moved the money from the account of Radio Gold into your own personal bank account or a company owned by you. Now, when you are caught, then you now come out and say, oh, yeah, you know what? I don't deny transferring the money to the account, my private account. But you know what? When I transfer the money, I withdrew it and came and gave the board chairman of Radio Gold, I gave him some. I gave Nancy to some. I gave Eric Boatin some. And that if you say I have stolen the money of Radio Gold, I'll let the whole world know that I gave you, when I came to your wedding, the donation I did is part of the money. How is that a defense? The critical question at this point is whether or not you move the money into the private account. Correct?
Yes.
That's all.
Okay.
Then, when the matters were raging, then you now brought a letter saying that in 2018, the National Security Coordinator wrote a letter saying accounts should be opened in the name of BNC Communication. The contract we are talking about happened in 2020, 2 years. 2 years after this letter purportedly authorizing the opening of accounts. Opening account is different from authorizing transfer of funds. Correct?
Yeah.
That's all.
I see. First of all, Nancy denies taking any money in your hypothetical situation. But
I'm charging her for that. I have witnesses. One of the witnesses whose letter Mr. Edudzi is relying on died in 2020.
Yes, that's Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And that's quite interesting. Anyway, now, before I come to the things you said about what you intend to do at MPA, which is being published this morning, there's I don't know, have you read the suit that has been filed by the Member of Parliament for Southern, the Majority Chief Whip?
No.
Oh, you haven't read the suit that he has filed against Reverend Ntim Fodjour?
You are saying a liar for what?
But you say you have not seen the thing. Why did you conclude that the man is a liar?
No, but the record of the man being a liar is a matter of public record.
The record of him being a liar is a matter of public record.
Oh, yes. The man, when police officer got to his house, he went under the wife's bed. Under the wife's bed.
When police officers got to his house, he did what?
He was hiding under the bed and calling his neighbors.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you said what? The way you said the thing, said why is he suing a liar
And
for lying against him?
so that's the point I'm making. So if that's the case,
Oh, it seems even though you've seen it,
you're liar serious.
Oh, so even though you've not seen the suit, you can just assume what it is about.
A man with the record of lying about the whole thing. You see, the thing with defamation is that, so usually we say that defamation is a character action. Do you get it? A defamation suit is a character action.
Okay.
It's an action founded on the basic premise that I'm a person of good character.
Okay.
But the man is notorious with lying. Huh?
You're saying all defamation is
It's
founded.
a character action.
Okay. But he's not been found by any court to be a liar, or so. Are you saying that what Reverend needs to prove is that this is how I behave?
This is the man's character. He has a penchant of lying. Now he is going to tell the court that he has been a truthful person. Why should you even associate a man who is a reverend? Is it not ironical?
I see. Quite interesting. It's a character action.
Yes.
But
every defamation suit is a character action.
But in this case where he says the facts show that the man was lying, that's adequate enough, is it not?
And so he will now come and tell the court that he has been a truthful person. And what he said about DAFEAMEKPOR'S is true.
What if he apologizes immediately and begs his colleague to withdraw the case?
Well, that's for the plaintiff to decide.
Well, then let me conclude with where I said I will end. The story from the Ghanaian Times is the Accra Times, not Ghanaian. The Accra Times says the acting chief executive officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Mr. Edudzi Tamakloe, has reaffirmed the authority's commitment to ensuring compliance with the rules and procedures governing operations in the country's downstream petroleum industry. It stated that while the NPA would bring a human face to the law, sanctions will be enforced against industry players who violate the established rules. And they said you were speaking at a three-day event. Okay, so made these remarks at the opening of the second edition of the NPA Downstream Compliance Workshop in Accra on Monday. Exactly what is this event about?
So I took over, and there is this workshop where we invite the key stakeholders in the industry. And by key stakeholders, we are looking at the petroleum service providers, the OMCs. They do the retailing of petroleum products. Then we have what we call the BDCs. Their responsibility is to bring the product from abroad. So it's an import and export license. Then we have what we call transporters. Petroleum no get leg. Now be transported, they carry them. That's what we see in the industry. There are people who we also regulate, because before you put in a tanker, a bulk vehicle to transport, we need to install some what we call seals, so that anywhere the tanker is, we can monitor it. We monitor the tanker movement to avoid diversion of products. You understand? But some people still try to tamper with the they still try to tamper with what you call the sales, so they can do their diversions. You understand? There are sanctions if you do that. So in the MPA, in order to ensure uniformity in pricing of petroleum products, so that the price of a gallon of petrol in Accra will not be different from the same as Kumasi, Tamale, Ouagadougou, or whatever. Right? We have that system by law. So we call it UPPF.
Okay.
So we pay fair. So what usually will cause increases in the price of petroleum products across different geographical locations is the cost of freight. You understand?
The movement, yeah.
The movement, the cost.
Okay.
But government had put in a mechanism called UPPF, which allows you to do that. Which allows you to pay. Now, so we have these devices that allows you to track the tankers, because somebody can pick products from Accra that I'm going to Bupe or I'm going to Kumasi with it. He will get to Isawam and dump it there and come and charge you for the freight to Kumasi. Yes.
So you pay him for something he is not done.
Price.
Okay.
Exactly. So we have a mechanism to track all these matters. So I was just warning the industry that if you don't, and we have evidence through the tracking device that this is what you have done, we'll apply the sanction to you strictly. Strictly.
I see. But what you just communicated sounds like fraud.
Exactly.
Fraud is a criminal offense.
So that's a sanctioning mechanism.
I hope it is not about sanctions like we charge you money. Do you prosecute a person criminally?
In fact, we have a director prosecuting at my place.
Oh, okay.
In fact, there is a head in charge of prosecution. So we work closely with the security people. If you notice, recently I was with the IGP, because usually we will need police investigators to help us in unraveling such fraud.
So your message to them is that if you breach any law, the sanctions will apply.
In fact, we are working to set up a small court in the building.
A small court in the MPA building?
Yes, where we'll write to the CJ to get us a dedicated judge to deal with those matters.
To have a court, you must also show that these infractions are prevalent.
That's what we are heading towards now.
I see. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you, too, Sana. Have a blessed day.
You too. You too.
Thank you.
God, Edudzi Tamakloe. So, if you're working in the petroleum sector, I think there's a downstream sector which he and his entity regulates. The MPA, the entity he leads regulates. He's telling you that the law is the law. If you breach it, you face the consequences. And to show that he's serious, is going to the point of going to speak to the Chief Justice. Give us a court, a small court, so that we don't have to come and queue like every other case. We'll deal with the person right in our building. We'll bring you there. The court will deal with you. Interesting. So somebody will take a fuel, petroleum product, that I'm taking it to Buipe, and actually go and discharge it at somewhere, maybe in some crowd. Let me push the person forward small. Kumasi, and return and say, I am back. Pay me UPPF. That will cover the cost of the transportation, so that the person who is paying for the fuel in Buipe is not paying higher than the person who is paying in Accra. That's what we try to do. So we are all trying to find a way. We are raising money to subsidize the cost of that transportation, so that it doesn't affect the prices to be uniform no matter where you are. People are taking advantage of it, taking the money without really going to where they say they will go to. He says, in that particular case and many other cases, you will face the law. That's Godwin Edudzi Tamakloe, Acting Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority. Interesting thing he said about Reverend Ntim Fodjour. Anyway, there are a few things that, okay, so one thing, but first, give me a moment. Let me take a break. When we come back, I'll ask you, and I'll start with the people in which other case, because somebody was just drawing my attention to the fact that they haven't heard about the Cecilia Dapamata. Which other cases do interest you that you like to hear on something on urgently? People are saying that there are delays, but I have a different opinion. But what do you think?
Hi, my name is Ni Ashalokai. Join me this and every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. on Radio Gold 90.4.